This is going to be part one of the SCP Mobile Task Forces by SCP Illustrated. So shout out to SCP Illustrated. Your video is probably going to be awesome, brother. And if you want me to take down my video, I do not mind. Welcome back, ladies and gents. Sending out a lot of love. Did you drink your water today? Did you wake up and think of things like, stop the video right now and think of 5 things you're grateful for in your life? Other than that, subscribe. I upload every single day if you want to. And if you got any requests for videos, just keep leaving them down below. I will get to them eventually, or maybe not at all. I try. Let's go. Part 1. Let's kick it off. Please stand by.
Good day everyone and welcome back to SCP Illustrated, entry log 91. A lot of you have been asking me to
I don't know why I was doing that.
do a video on the MTF teams, and today is that day. Now, I would be surprised if any SCP fans watching this don't have an idea of what the MTF teams are, but for those of you who don't, there is a whole intro sequence to get you up to speed. Without further ado, let's begin.
Oh shoot. Okay, wait. I'm gonna let him begin, but he said some of you might be familiar with. Me, none. Zeta 9, the Mole Rats, Tall 5, Samsara, Epsilon 11, the Nine-Tailed Fox. This one. Yeah, this one.
Without further ado, let's begin.
Hey, let's go. Let's go. I'm hyped. I don't know. I just like his videos.
The following data release has been authorized by the following council members and administration staff.
Okay. Montgomery.
Mobile task forces are elite units comprised of personnel drawn from across the Foundation and are mobilized to deal with specific threats or situations
Cannon fodder.
that sometimes exceed the operational capacity or expertise of regular field personnel and, as their name suggests, may be relocated between facilities or locations as they are needed.
Oh, mobile
task force personnel represent the best of the Foundation.
Really?
Mobile task forces vary greatly in size, composition, and purpose. A battalion-strength combat-orientated task force trained to deal with highly aggressive anomalous entities may consist of hundreds of troops, plus support personnel, vehicles, and equipment, and can be deployed in whole or in part to deal with threats across the globe. However, a mobile task force can also be a small specialized intelligence gathering or investigative task force that may have fewer than a dozen personnel if that is deemed sufficient to accomplish their goals.
Okay.
While in the field, task force members often pose as emergency responders,
MTF Iota 10? Iota 10? Damn feds? What?
local or federal law enforcement, or military personnel appropriate to the region in which they are operating. Mobile Task Force commanders can also request the assistance of local field units or personnel stationed at nearby Foundation facilities in order to accomplish their missions. Each unit is fundamentally structured in a way that best suits their intended purpose. While combat-orientated task force may closely follow military hierarchy and organization, smaller units may have an informal or otherwise esoteric chain of command. As such, the
You guys know my favorite word is esoteric. I say esoteric, but
responsibilities of the Mobile Task Force commander for each particular task force can vary greatly. The commander for a large task force might focus on maintaining multiple teams and deploying them as necessary to each assigned operation, whereas the commander of a small team might deploy with their team and direct the operation from on location.
okay.
Similarly,
And this is MTF New 7 Hammer Down.
the cohesion of each unit will vary as well. Some mobile task forces consist of personnel who have trained and worked for many years or even decades together, whereas the personnel of a mobile task force formed on a moment's notice to deal with a specific incident may know little more than each other's names and field of expertise.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. I feel like this is kind of, sorry if I'm not speaking a lot. It's kind of like your standard stuff so far, but that's pretty cool. Like, I mean, when it comes to SCPs, you could imagine that like he said right here, there's going to be different MTF that deal with each SCP. So there's going to be a specific task force or there. Okay, so it's like each group, there's probably going to be an MTF that's specifically trained and conditioned into dealing with Larry, the old man, or like even ones that are maybe, well, I was gonna even go a little bit further and wait until it was kind of getting a little bit down to the detail in this video, but there's going to be like the cognito hazard ones. There's going to be MTF that are probably trained specializing in dealing with cognito hazards, or it's going to consist of people who became MTFs to already have like a high level of cognito hazard, probably have like a little more training, not cognito hazard. I feel like when you hear me say it, you know what I'm talking about though. Like have a high level of cognito hazard. The way I look at it is like they have a high level of willpower. Like their mind cannot be broken. It can't be. It's just, it really makes me think of the warp in well, it makes me think of our overall consciousness and collective consciousness in real life, but it makes me think of the warp in Warhammer 40k. So it's just funny that they have the strong willpower, but you see what I'm going with that. And like there's probably like the MTF members that deal with the more physical SCPs or something, or maybe SCPs that require a little more restraint, so maybe like stronger, more agile and fit. Like I see you're kind of your similar stuff, so I'm not really saying anything new. But
Mobile task forces are typically commissioned as deemed necessary by the Foundation's Director of Task Forces, often with the direct approval of one or more O5 Council members. A significant number of mobile task forces are created to deal with specific anomalies exhibiting traits that standard containment or response teams are unable to effectively counteract, though many were also created to preempt an emerging or theoretical threat. Mobile task forces...
Imagine having to be a part... Actually, that did make me think of something to say. Imagine being a part of the MTF and you're of a freshly new put together squad getting ready to head into something that you have no idea what you're facing, which is kind of like literally like Overlord, what I just watched. Like some of them really are cannon fodder. They go in like kind of not knowing what to expect. They have to look for the anomaly. But imagine just training for what you think is basically going to happen. You would have to kind of hit like all aspects of your training depending on the SCP, or not all aspects of your training, but like if they had an idea on what the anomaly is, you would have to be trained basically to, I was going to say train to die, but that comes with it. But being trained basically for every scenario that could play out. So they'd be really skilled.
It's created for the purpose of containing a particular anomaly are typically deactivated at the end of the recovery operation or when ongoing containment is deemed no longer necessary. Occasionally, such task forces remain operational if the expertise and experiences learned are considered useful for future incidents, but otherwise, the task force will likely be disbanded and its personnel returned to their prior posts. Very rarely, a mobile task force will also be disbanded if it suffers sufficient casualties to render it incapable of operation. In these cases, if the prior capability of that particular task force is deemed necessary, a new task force may be commissioned to replace it. The mobile task forces. MTF.
So let me ask this: do you guys think the one in the MTF and Overlord would have been disbanded for that, like suffering multiple casualties? Because I think they suffered a few, but I can't really remember. It's out of my mind from this. I would have to like watch it to remember. Like as I was watching, I would remember who got snatched and stuff like that. But do you think they would get disbanded? I think there was a lot of them at the end, or like backup came. But that outside team,
Alpha 1.
Can't remember.
Red Right Hand. Mobile Task Force Alpha 1 is a task force that reports directly to the O5 Council and is used in situations that require the strictest operational security. The task force consists of the Foundation's best and most loyal operatives. Further information regarding MTF Alpha 1 is classified Level 5. MTF Alpha 4, Pony Express. Mobile Task Force Alpha 4 consists primarily of personnel trained to act as undercover employees and specialise in tracking, intercepting, and securing anomalous objects sent through postal and package delivery service.
I don't like that. I zoned out thinking about things, so I completely missed this one. Red Right Hand, they report directly to the O5. Okay. I feel like for some of these, I'm not going to directly be able to, but it would be cool to call which ones I think will be dealing with the SCPs that I watch. That'd be cool. Or like if they have to contain it, right? Because most of the SCP, I could still call it because like the certain SCPs have to be contained. but they're used in situations that require the strictest operational security. So Alpha 1, I feel like I'll probably need to remember this one. Task force consists, the best and loyal operatives. Okay. Oh, and then here's what they assist. Action reports, the High Court with the Magic Armory, Null Space, Legitimacy, Chaos Insurgency Hub, Gate of Janus, SCP-2271. It'd be cool to come back to these videos and watch these. But alright, Pony Express I was kind of hearing. Okay.
Pony Express.
So
Mobile Task Force Alpha 4.
So tracking, intercepting, and securing anomalous postal. So do you think that Alpha 4 would deal with Mr. The dude, the interdimensional door salesman?
It's primarily of personnel trained to act as undercover employees and specialize in tracking, intercepting, and securing anomalous objects sent through postal and package delivery services worldwide. MTF Alpha 9, Last Hope. The Reborn Omega-7, a mobile task force explicitly intended to train and utilize humanoid SCP objects in the field. MTF Beta-4, Castaways. MTF Beta-4 is a task force created with the sole purpose of assisting and monitoring Group of Interest 466, Wilson's Wildlife Solutions, in their interactions with local fauna-based anomalies. MTF Beta-7, Mazhatters. Mobile Task Force Beta-7 specializes in the acquisition and containment of anomalies exhibiting extreme biological, chemical, or radiological hazards, as well as the rapid containment and cleanup of areas affected by such anomalies.
Okay.
This includes the planning and deployment of contingencies for wide area or pandemic spread of anomalous disease agents or other contagious phenomena.
So kind of the flesh that hates? I have to continue that. Wow, I paused it at 555. That's crazy. I didn't even notice. I have to continue the flesh that hates, though. There's a sign that I have to. That's really crazy.
MTF Gamma 5, Red Herrings.
Red Herrings.
Mobile Task Force Gamma 5 specializes in preventing the dissemination of knowledge of anomalous events or phenomena in cases where initial suppression effects have proven ineffective or insufficient, or in cases where such knowledge has already reached critical levels of public exposure. This includes the research and deployment of experimental amnestics, as well as memory fabrication procedures. MTF Gamma 6, Deep Feeders.
I like their
Mobile Task Force Gamma 6
symbols.
specializes in the investigation and tracking of deep sea or oceanic anomalies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
MTF Gamma 13,
Asimov's Lawbringers.
Mobile Task Force Gamma 13 specializes in the investigation, tracking, and apprehension of anomalous objects, persons, and entities associated with Group of Interest 1115, Anderson Robotics. This includes identification of Anderson customers, location of Anderson products, and conduction of raids on Anderson offices.
Okay.
MTF Delta 5, Frontrunners. Mobile Task Force Delta 5 is comprised of multiple autonomous deep cover cells specializing in the identification and preemptive acquisition of anomalous objects and entities of interest to other groups of interest. MTF Epsilon 6, Village Idiots. MTF Epsilon 6 specializes in the investigation, containment, and subsequent cleanup of anomalies in rural and suburban environments.
Okay.
MTF Epsilon 9, Fire Eaters.
That's a 6 symbol.
MTF Epsilon 9 specializes in the use of incendiary weapons and operations in high temperature environments.
That's a 6 symbol.
MTF Epsilon 11, Nine-Tailed Fox. Mobile Task Force Epsilon 11 handles internal security for the SCP Foundation under oversight by MTF Alpha 1. They are a Special Ops force deployed to Foundation sites when standard protocols fail and multiple breaches are imminent. As such, most of their operations are classified. MTF Zeta 9, Mole Rats. Mobile Task Force Zeta 9 specializes in the investigation, exploration, and containment of underground or enclosed areas exhibiting anomalous phenomena, particularly those with inconsistent topography or unstable space-time.
Unstable
MTF
space-time?
See No Evil. Mobile Task Force 8-10 specializes in the investigation, acquisition, and initial containment of objects or entities exhibiting visual cognito hazards, visual mimetic agents,
Hey,
or
there we
otherwise
go.
require indirect or alternate
Exactly like what I was saying earlier, so that's cool. Okay.
observation in order to safely handle. MTF Eta 11
Savage Beast.
Savage Beasts. Mobile Task Force Eta 11 specializes in the investigation, acquisition, and containment of auditory and musical anomalies, including any auditory cognitohazards or sound-based anomalous threats.
That's so cool. So there's multiple like cognitohazard like threats. That's really cool. And this makes me think of do you guys remember the sheet of music? Would this task force be the ones that contain that, or am I wrong? Because you technically have to touch it, but it is kind of auditorial. No, wait. You remember in the SCP game that little SCP they kind of just leave on the shelf and it like gets super loud and it's like playing Beethoven's symphony or something when you get closer to it. And like I think if you stay next to it long enough, it makes the character's eardrums burst or like you bleed from your whatever. But would the Savage Beast technically be the ones that contain that
MTF
one?
Theta 4
Oh, already knew as it said
Mobile
gardeners.
Task Force Theta 4 specializes in the acquisition and containment of plant or
So far in the video, what team would you want to be a part of for the MTF Theta, or like the MTF Theta? I ended up saying it for the MTF squads. Which one would you want to be in on so far? It's cool how many ones that there are.
plant-like
Or which one do you think you would fall under? That's just the same as saying literally which one do you think you would be a part of. I feel like I'd be a part of some of the cognitohazard ones. But this right here, as soon as I seen gardeners, I was like, yeah, I would not want to be a part of any tree-like, plant-like SCP.
like anomalous objects in
I just think about like the worst, getting probed, weird vines up your, unmentionables.
entities, especially fieldwork involving widespread infestations of such anomalies. MTF Theta 90 Angle Grinders. Mobile Task Force Theta 90 deals with anomalous topologies, geometries, and similar mathematical problem areas.
Angle grinders. I like that.
MTF IOTA 10
The damn
Feds.
feds.
Mobile Task Force IOTA 10 maintains undercover operatives in various international, federal, and provisional law enforcement agencies.
I love how their symbol is like literally like spy from TF2. Is it not? Is that not spy?
And specializes in facilitating the transfer of anomalous evidence and objects into Foundation control, as well as the transfer of jurisdiction over anomalous event locations from local law enforcement to Foundation containment and response teams.
Okay.
MTF Kappa 10 Skynet.
Where we at?
Mobile Task Force Kappa 10 is a temporary designation until such time it is either officially dissolved or sanctioned. It is strictly tasked in investigating and engaging cyber anomalies using a combination of virtual agents and Foundation researchers to track, neutralize, and/or contain such intangible threats.
Okay.
MTF Lambda 4 Birdwatchers.
I think
Mobile Task Force Lambda 4 specializes in the investigation, tracking, and containment of airborne biological anomalies, especially anomalous avian organisms. MTF Lambda 5 White Rabbits. Mobile Task Force Lambda 5
I'll let this one be the last one. What I wanted to say for the avian ones, I wonder if they had anything to do with like where, like, did they have any of the members? No, I guess you wouldn't really need it for the dragons one, but yeah.
specializes in traversing unstable, surreal, and controlled reality, and containing potentially dangerous persons and artifacts capable of manipulating space and time.
You know what? And 11 is good because video is 22. So, all right, boom. We stop at 11. A future recording lunar. Boom. So, okay. This is actually a good one to end on too. I'm actually glad because I like this one. I mess with this one. This is another one where I could see myself being a part of. They specialize in traversing unstable, surreal, controlled reality and containing potential dangerous persons or artifacts capable of manipulating space and time. And I see the whole thing here with the white rabbits, because like going down the rabbit hole or following the white rabbit, is it also Alice in the Wonderland too, where the white rabbit comes into play in like the symbology of a white rabbit? But like, yeah, like I like that, going down the rabbit hole and stuff like that. It's cool. That's kind of cool for what they do and their name. It's like a cool play on the theme of going down the rabbit hole. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good one to end on. Well, you know me, you know my name, you know what I do. Much love and light. And we are starting Freaky Friday. Or, well, not Freaky Friday. No, I hate that I said Freaky Friday. I almost wanted to cancel the whole recording just because that one saying. Frightening Fridays. We're going to do a Frightening Fridays. So if you guys got horror stuff, short horror stuff, start sending it through. I'm going to be ready. And yeah, we're going to get that all set up too. So that's going to be cool. That's going to be much easier to manage than everything else I'm doing. But much love and moonlight. And as always, see you next time.